Hey everyone, this is episode 24 of Noodle Time. Welcome. Here with me is coming out here live from the Dynamo Underground, Tony Rubio. Tony, say hello.
What's up, everybody? Coming at you straight from the underground. Dynamo Diesel's lair. You already know.
We don't know where it is, but it exists now, thanks to Glenn Davis. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's been an interesting couple of weeks since nothing has happened. But this is the first episode of the season, season 2, actually. So hopefully, with a new owner and new GM, things are gonna get better from here. But as we all know, we have to wait and see because we've been on high hopes before, and we've been pretty much um, killed with those hopes and dreams.
I mean, hopefully this is the most boring show of the season. Because from here on out, we're either going to be irrationally mad or cautiously happy, as a Dynamo fan does think. Because no Dynamo fan thinks blindly unless you're Web Tilton, and unfortunately, none of us are that wonderful man.
Oh yeah, we've been molded by pain for the last 8 years. So obviously we can't be too optimistic because we're just gonna be extremely disappointed by the end of the season. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what this year brings for us, and especially with news now pouring in right around the corner with the start of preseason and all the good stuff, all the good things that we're going to talk about over the next few weeks, as well as the season way around the corner because it's an early start due to the World Cup. So um, it's gonna be I feel like it's gonna be a weird season because of that, and also because of all the things that we have gone through this offseason. Obviously, new GM, a new head coach, and with obviously Paulo Nagamura being an interesting candidate, since even though he has like more professional experience compared to Tab, we're still not that optimistic. I like to say we just like we're just making we just like just cautious. I would like to say cautiously optimistic, but just cautious, because of the reasons I said before.
Yeah, there's not really like anything. I mean, it's kind of sad that we're about to announce. I mean, by the time you guys listen to this, Sebastian Ferreira, our new DP striker, will probably be announced. We're recording right now Monday night, which is January 17th. So by the time this is uploaded, he will be announced, or he will be about to be announced. It's kind of sad that that's about to happen, and we're all happy with the signing, but everybody's unhappy generally because not enough movement has happened yet in this transfer window for anyone's liking. But trust the process. We got to trust a big old pad up there. But you know, everybody's desperate for something. But we're still gonna find ways to make hot takes today, and absolutely rational thoughts probably.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about like those changes like later on in the episode. But for now, we just want to focus on Sebastian Ferreira, which is a pretty interesting choice of a designated player coming for Houston. Obviously, with the rumored transfer amount being $4.5 million, which is obviously if you are following the Dynamo for like a very long time, you know for a fact this is a big number, and like the closest that gets to it, um, obviously it blows away past the initial amount for Albert Feliz. But I like to say that the closest amount that we'll get to it will be obviously when we got Cubo Torres, which is roughly, uh, if I recall
Seven
correctly, it was
million.
like around the $7 million range because and it's still the most expensive transfer in Dynamo history. And Sebastian, I guess, is going to be like a close second or third place, just on the top, from the top of my head. And
Yeah, I mean the only sources we have no sources. The only thing we've read on Twitter, which is our everybody's trustful source, of course, is that from Paraguay they're saying it was going to be over 6 million. Now our good friend Dynamo Insider today was saying that he got it from a good source that it is actually a 4.5 million deal. So that's interesting if that is true. It could just be that there is add-ons and percentages involved that if you hit certain metrics that it can reach potentially over 6 million. But like I said, we don't know anything concretely, and I don't think anybody else does for the most part. But it's definitely an investment from Big Daddy Ted.
Yeah, and he had like a pretty interesting trajectory because he obviously started from Paraguay, his home country, and then from there he moved to Liga MX. But it didn't seem like he managed to get things going there, especially when he went to um, um, I like to say after Morelia, like he didn't seem to like find time to play with Mazatlan, which was his last club in Liga MX before moving back to Paraguay, sorry, and from there with Club Libertad since 2020, like he's been having a pretty um, great time over there. Obviously scoring in the Paraguayan league as well as Copa Libertadores and La Copa Latinoamericana, which has been for because I know for a fact that in 2020 he managed to score 17 goals in 29 appearances, and the year later he managed to score 10 goals out of his 25 appearances there, and obviously with a good track record he's having, he's getting more eyes for the Paraguayan national team, which is also good. Um, so it's
I mean,
out of the last designated players that we had, like obviously since we had like Elise and Kyoto, like this is probably one that we should be excited about.
yeah, it definitely seems like he's a young player. He's I believe 24, if not just turned 24. Um, there's a lot more data on him to actually look at. And what actually seems like happened to him is he started off as a kind of wonder kid in Paraguay, I believe. Don't get me wrong. We might have somebody on later this week that will cover Sebastian a little bit more. Somebody who specializes in Paraguayan football. So we'll confirm all of these data points and everything later. But I think he started off with Olympia and in Paraguay, either Olympia or one of the other big teams. Don't no disrespect there if I'm misnaming the team. Um, and then he went to Morelia in Mexico, which, as many of you guys know, that's happens in MLS. They moved the team from Morelia to Mazatlan recently in Sinaloa, and when that happened, Ferreira never even played a game for Mazatlan. They sent him on loan back to Paraguay, where he was playing now, and from there is where he's coming to the Dynamo. So he definitely didn't. He didn't fail in Liga MX. He did quite well actually, which is exciting to see from his small time there that he was able to score goals and definitely some beautiful goals. If you guys have seen the highlight reels, so if a player does decently well in Liga MX, you know the past shows and the players that have come over here show that that's probably a player that's going to score his fair share of goals in MLS. So that's like I'm saying, we just kind of have some more data points to know that even though the Paraguayan league isn't the most prolific, and there has been quite a few Paraguayans that have come over and haven't done amazing. There are other ones that have done really well in the past, like Miguel Almiron, and hopefully that's what the Dynamo are kind of reaching more on that side of. If he was anywhere as good as Miguel Almiron MLS, then that's an absolute home run.
Oh yeah, and you brought up a good point because he's still fairly young. He does turn 24 in the next month, but overall this seems like a pretty exciting signing, especially for one that pretty critical role that we've been trying to fill since Manotas left, the number 9 position. Obviously, we tried working things out with Urruti, but unfortunately that didn't work out. Also because of what he was being paid over the course of last season and not much production, and also with the situation regarding Christian Ramirez and moving to Aberdeen because he didn't play a lot, and I'm just thankful he's managing to work things out in Scotland, and yeah, hopefully this time it works, because like it's been one of those positions that, like I said before, it didn't seem like the Dynamo uh, got it got it working as soon as Manotas left, and I'm just interested on seeing what happens from here because apparently, like after the next couple of seasons, he can be his DP um, position can be bought down. So we have to wait and see what's up with that. But obviously, it's gonna depend on what happens from here. So I'm honestly looking forward to what Ferreira is gonna do on the field.
Yeah, no, because from just pulling up the transfer market here, which as we all know, sometimes can be a little bit wrong. But I'm not looking at anything to do with values right now. Just in terms of his career stats. You know how Mexico does the clausura and apertura seasons, which is kind of a fall in a spring season. So he managed to score what is 11 goals over 35 games in Liga MX, putting his numbers together from both seasons. So I would say that's a pretty good return, especially at that age. Hopefully he's gotten even better at this point. So that's pretty much 11 goals in one season when he was playing for Morelia, Monarcas in Morelia. So, you know, if he translated those numbers to the Dynamo, I wouldn't be unhappy at all. 11 goals, hopefully, aiming more a little bit for the 15 goal echelon if we wanted to be successful. But that's promising, and as Andres said, over in Paraguay, he's scored a little bit more than that. For example, lastly, scoring 14 goals in 29 games. So that's something a little bit more exciting, as well as scoring 5 goals in 16 Libertadores games, which is a pretty high level competition, as we all know. And another note about Sebastian Ferreira is that the other team that he was most prominently linked to recently was Palmeiras from Brazil, which is pretty much the biggest team in Brazil right now. And in terms of quality, they've been poaching up a lot of players like Edward Atuesta from LAFC, possibly Tati Castellanos from NYCFC. So the fact that they were in for Ferreira at their striker position speaks really highly of him, in my opinion.
And yeah, and just going back to the main incident in the up top in the striker position, it's a pretty good segue to the next topic because we're gonna talk about the super draft that happened last week. Um, it's we came in this one a little bit hopeful only because we had like the fourth overall pick and we got a chance to grab some neat players, and with the with the fourth overall pick we wanted to pick thirdly for Ulferson, also known as Thor, which from that position I feel like he's like out of the three players that we grabbed from the draft, I feel like it's definitely one that we're more than likely going to see this upcoming season because it's not only is he like a generation Adidas player, but also a very um, a striker with a high ceiling. I like to say because I've seen his highlights and he's it doesn't seem like he's playing around. I'm also very hopeful about him and what's going to happen between preseason and how he's going to compete with Mateo Bahamich for the second string. We'll see how it's going to go, but I feel like from coming out of the draft and obviously right now acquiring Ferreira, I feel like it's the striker position is going to be pretty competitive this season, and that's pretty good overall.
I mean, like we'll talk about a little bit later in the podcast. Andres may or may not talk about a projected lineup for the Dynamo and depth chart that he created, which, like we talked about, me and him before the podcast, it's very early in the season to even predict it, but we might just talk about it just for fun, and maybe in a couple weeks or months laugh at how different it was compared to what actually happened. But it's very interesting going into this season to even formulate what's going to happen because, like Andres just mentioned, Bahamich, obviously he had a very sad impact last year, whether that was tab or his actual quality. And from the time that we did see him on the field, he really didn't produce any kind of hope for the money we paid for him. Thank you, Matt Jordan. But
Amen.
uh, this is really a clean slate for all these guys, and you know, we don't want to discard Mateo completely off right now because he can come into this preseason, fitter than he's ever been, and completely disprove all of us, and maybe show Tab that he was wrong the whole time, that he was playing in the wrong position, etc. So that's what I'm most excited for right now. That's my Webb Tilton optimism of the day right now. That my copyrighted to Webb Tilton quote right there.
Absolutely.
But I'm excited that I think guys will be hungrier than ever to come in and fight for their livelihoods. If Bahamich doesn't do well here, then I don't think he has the doors open anywhere else in MLS, let alone Europe after this, which when he came to MLS, obviously there was rumors that Charlotte FC also wanted him, that Italian clubs wanted him. So that's a young guy fighting for his future. And then obviously with our draft picks, not to get off topic, Thor Ulferson. Obviously we need to give him time and not expect production right off the top because the draft isn't what it used to be. But every year you're seeing at least one or two or three guys going in to start for MLS teams or playing significant minutes, and it's about damn time the Dynamo finally chose a draft pick that gave us really good minutes. And Thor, obviously, it's a huge jump in quality, but from what I was looking into him, he missed quite a few games at the beginning of his season with Duke due to COVID, and he still scored like I don't know if the numbers are correct, but something like 13 goals in 15 games. Like he whatever how many games he played, he scored two less goals in the whole season, and that's with missing games in the season. So that's really impressive. And apart from that, Thor Ulferson, we're completely butchering his name too, the Icelandic, hopefully future superstar. He used to play for a team in Iceland called Breiðablik. I think that's kind of where he got his start, and he was actually playing like I don't know how it works at NCAA, but he was at least playing for that team. And I don't know if it didn't count as professional money, like for him to come to NCAA, but that's like a team where a lot of Icelandic stars have been molded and played before, like Albert Fino Bogason from the Icelandic national team who plays at Augsburg. So, I mean, I'm sorry this is a lot of information to throw out there, but it's really a promising pick, and especially the situation Thor is coming into where we have I guess the best opportunity to win a spot and win minutes. We're probably still going to bring in another striker this offseason, I would assume. Somebody has depth, probably more of a veteran. There's been rumors of Mauro Manotas. I really doubt that's going to happen because we have other areas of need that need to be covered first. But side note, what I was thinking, Andres, is that if Manotas keeps playing, let's say not well with Tijuana, which he's started off both of the games this season, not exactly on his hottest foot, we could always see a summer transfer. Who knows? We could end up getting him for a lot less than we sent him over. So that's something to hope for if we did want to see Manotas back. But I think any Dynamo fan that's hoping for him this season before the season even starts should just shut that dream down right now before you get too happy.
Yeah, obviously we all want him back, but I feel like at this point, if it feels like it's not gonna happen, only because we already have like three strikers on the roster now. We have to get rid of one, and obviously bringing back Manotas will be awesome. But I feel like he already made his move, and for him to come back is gonna be a while. Like a veteran or something, I can definitely see that, but it's it's still too early, so I don't expect it to come
Yeah,
back, and also be.
sorry to take us so off topic about the super draft there. We'll get back on there, but two veterans that I mentioned on Twitter that we got a lot of I got a lot of stick back for was like somebody like a Juan Agudelo who lives in Houston in the off season. He's only 29, and then a guy like Dom Dwyer who's I don't know like 30, 31. Obviously, guys that aren't in the best graces in MLS lately, but I think guys that can definitely score 5 to 8 goals, 5 to 10 goals for you coming off the bench during the season. And I think that's what the Dynamo need to compete. Veteran presence and somebody that maybe you can take a flyer on and ends up actually producing starting numbers for the amount of money that they're earning during the season. So that's just something to think of. But I'll stop cutting you off on this so you can keep talking about the draft.
No, it's okay. I mean, you definitely brought some good points. Obviously with Agudelo, I feel like it's interesting at this point. But as for Dwyer, though, since FC Dallas has acquired his rights, I feel like it's gonna be like a little risky because they're definitely gonna put like a high price on him. But yeah, I'm still unsure about Dwyer, but Agudelo, I can see more of it happening, and also
Actually, what happened with Dwyer is that FC Dallas obtained his rights from Toronto for the draft pick, but FC Dallas immediately bought him out of his contract. So Dwyer is now a free agent. Not that I specifically want him on the Dynamo, or but we're already getting all these SKC people from Paulo, and Dwyer used to be at SKC with Paulo as well. So I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, and especially now that Dwyer was making the veteran minimum last year apparently, and now he's a free agent. It's definitely a big possibility, but we don't have to pay anything to Dallas since they bought him out. That way, Toronto
Gotcha.
can now buy out. Now Toronto can buy out Josie Altidore in the offseason since they're going to let him go.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for correcting me because I always thought that Dallas had Dwyer's rights, but I guess I just must have missed the fact that they bought out his contract still, which is like it was like a weird trade, but that's an MLS trade for you, you know,
Yeah,
part of
the
the
reason
MLS
is
tradition.
the reason is because I believe only a team can only buy out one player every offseason, is what I understand. And since Toronto wants to buy out Josie Altidore, so he's not on the roster anymore, they had to trade Dwyer for somebody else to buy him out.
That makes more sense. Yeah,
Smart tanks right there.
only in MLS, and yeah, um, yeah, and I wanted to get back to the draft because I will see with the other three picks being Paulo Lima, the midfielder from Providence College, and Arturo Ordonez from Pittsburgh, um, and with also with all the homegrowns that we still have, Juan Casilla, Daniel Rios, and Dynamo 2 coming in starting this season. I feel like there's more reason to be hopeful with all the talent that's coming in because we know for a fact that they're gonna get minutes at Dynamo 2 compared to like other affiliates and our time with RGBFC, when we know that it wasn't guaranteed for them to get minutes, but now we know for a fact that they will get playing minutes against like skilled other skilled teams across the league and USL. So that's definitely not a thing I'm looking forward to this year. And once that get me excited, honestly, because we're definitely going to see more homegrowns there, aside from the draft picks, and it's going to be something special. I feel like.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know about you, but I feel like during the season, if things go a little bit sour or south, we might end up being bigger fans of Dynamo 2 than Dynamo 1
Yeah,
if we're at least gonna be watching future academy kids and draft picks playing. So that'll definitely be fun. Hopefully all those MLS next games are streamed. And I'm telling you, if Dynamo 2 is playing at Aviva Stadium and they allow beer sales over there, we might just have a great time down down at a Dynamo 2 game one day. So that'll definitely be something fun. I just wanted to, I guess, bring up the note. You mentioned Paulo Lima. Did you mention Arturo Ordonez from Spain?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. One thing I forgot to mention is that they're both internationals. Paulo Lima is from Portugal, and Arturo Ordonez is from Spain. And yeah, obviously, since they're international, their international status make them immediately think that they're gonna go to Dynamo too because the Dynamo like this year they have 6 international slots and they're all filled now as soon as Ferreira comes in. So I definitely thought they were gonna be straight to Dynamo too, unless they impress Paulo, which I doubt, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, that's. I think if I'm not mistaken, in the press conference after the Super Draft, I think Pat specifically said that they brought in Paulo and Arturo with the thought that they're going to go straight into Dynamo too. Um, but hot take right here. As I said, I would give a hot take. I have a feeling. I have absolutely no basis on this. I've never
Oh,
seen him
here it
play, but
comes. Say
I
it.
have, I have a feeling that Arturo Ordonez will play more minutes for. He will play more minutes than Thor Ulfarsson in his Dynamo career
God damn.
over the long term. And you know why? Because Thor Ulfarsson will be the next great MLS rookie. We'll sell him to Europe next year, and then Arturo will become a spot starter for the Dynamo. So that's the way things are gonna go.
Damn, that's a good take right there.
But I mean, apart, being serious, we really don't know the legal status of any of these international players. They very well, all three could take up international slots, but with Thor being a GA player, he's definitely going to be on the first team, as from what we understand. And since these guys have been going to college in the U.S., they very well could be on their path towards a green card, especially now that they're on an MLS team. So that'll be something interesting to keep up with. But um, it's exciting to see how Pat and the front office kind of maneuver all those mechanisms. But one last thing on Thor. something pretty interesting is that how I mentioned he was playing at least at what seemed like a professional level in Iceland before he went to Duke. He was only at Duke for one season, so that's pretty cool. That he just kind of came kind of as a bit of an older player to Duke, then just in one season, probably the best striker, one of the best strikers in all of college soccer, and now he's in Houston. See if he can replicate the last great forward that Houston drafted in Will Bruin, and hopefully even better than that because Will Bruin surprisingly scored a lot of goals in Orange, but wasn't very loved in Dynamo colors at that time.
Yeah. Um, we'll see what happens. Will Brewing is a special case. It's a very special, a Dynamo, I like to say, case study. But yeah, it's good.
There's
It probably can take up the whole episode, like one entire episode just discussing Will Bruin and what happened. But yeah, it's just
there's been rumors that Will Bruin might go to Atlanta because Pineda used to be at Seattle and apparently wants to bring him now to Atlanta as a backup striker to Josef. And if that happens, I already don't like Will Bruin. I'll just absolutely hate his guts if that happens. But
yeah. And Atlanta
yeah,
moved on from Cubo Torres, and Cubo's now in USL Championship with Orange County. Now there's a
God
reason to watch
damn.
USL Championship right there if you haven't because of the RGVFC Toros. But it's
I'll always have a soft spot for that guy.
we love Kubo. He scored a hat trick.
So Kubo mania,
Kubo's my life.
That's the most. Kubo is the most excited I've ever been for a Dynamo signing in my entire life, and I met him several times. I met him several times when he was a Dynamo player, and I was like, dude, this guy's gonna he's gonna go to the freaking moon, and unfortunately he did it. Still a nice guy though, but
I love him.
all the best wishes from Noodle Time to Kubo Torres.
Yes. Moving on, from the sidetrack episode, we're let's talk about a little bit about the preseason because it's obviously there's still a little bit of concern when it comes to the new coaching staff as well as the additions that have been made so far. And one of the things that happened lately, obviously, was the announcement of the new coaching staff. Um, with a couple, then obviously Paulo Nagamura coming in. Not only him being from um, like a rival, Sporting Kansas City, but also Jimmy Nielsen coming in, which I feel like a lot of people didn't take well because like it, I found out recently, but like a lot of people don't like Jimmy Nielsen mainly because of what he did as a player. I'm not sure he was like a little bit too rude on the field, but yeah, it's I feel like it's mostly that, and also Chris Martinez coming in and Zach Thornton as assistants. Thornton is coming as the new goalkeeping coach, and he's like I feel like this like probably the best one out of the bunch, out of the announcement that is because like Thornton, you look at his history and he's like considered like one of the best goalkeepers in the league's history. Playing I believe he played 12 seasons in the league, and like he's considered like one of the very best. Uh, just winning championships with Chicago Fire, if I recall correctly, and he also won his Supporter Shields too. And all that experience coming in to obviously Steve Clark, not only Steve Clark but also Michael Nelson, I feel like it's gonna help him a lot. And that's it. At least that's the thing I'm looking forward to that for the new coaching staff. But we'll see how Jimmy Nielsen does. Although I'm a little bit reserved, uh, obviously because like a lot of people didn't take the announcement well. But we'll see. Obviously, it's way different than being a player. So we're definitely gonna see what happens from here.
Yeah, we gotta set things aside, and I mean it just sounds like a freaking broken record at this point. Trust and Pat. It could be a semi-depressing season because I don't expect us to turn this around and possibly even make playoffs in our first season. If hopefully having a lower mentality like that before the season even starts causes the opposite reaction during the season and we do well, but it's going to be a slower rebuild. Like we're not, even though Ted obviously has the money, as we can see, he's not just going to throw money like crazy until we have kind of a better base put along. It's kind of it is kind of infuriating to see all these old SKC players come in because during those times we had like the most craziest battles with SKC, with Aurelian Collin, Matt Beasler, Jimmy Nielsen, Dom Dwyer, back when they won the MLS Cup. And these are the guys that are coming to coach the Dynamo now. Jimmy, did you mention Chris Martinez too from SKC? He was the assistant coach there for SKT too with Paulo. So Paulo pretty much brought his whole gang over here. Zach Thornton came from DC United, so it's all a new slate. Sometimes, even though you have good people in good positions in the past, from what I've talked to for with a few friends that are in several different MLS teams, it's just nice to start over fully from scratch. Sometimes, just to kind of bring in a new mentality. Sometimes you're just kind of, even though there's good people working there, it's kind of like you're stuck in a cycle. You're stuck in a one train of thought, and all we can hope for is that even though these are some SKC mercenaries, coming over to help out Paulo, hopefully that results in success for us. But it is a little infuriating. I just hope we never go to SKC away and we're losing 4-0 like we usually do every year, and they start chanting us, you're just a shit SKC or something like that.
Oh yeah, and one thing to consider, obviously, being negative about like us bringing people that are pretty close to the rivals, but at the same time, you have to consider how they're more likely just looking for like new opportunities to coach, but at the same time, us being interested more in them that Kansas City were with them. So that's at least one thing to consider. Obviously, definitely looking for new opportunities, and I feel like this opportunity with us, especially coming in with a new GM and a new owner, doesn't happen often. So, and obviously the plan of applying a launcher project here, which is obviously a thing that Pat Onside has been talking about a lot, and and yeah, like that's one of the things we'll see in this preseason. Obviously, we're gonna start applying that long term goal of developing that winning culture. Obviously, it's a thing. It's a thing that unfortunately we're gonna have to be patient about. But at the same time, we're gonna have to see results on the field soon enough, like one way or another. So in the preseason, the preseason schedule also got announced recently, and it's pretty much going to be 8 scrimmages over the next few weeks, starting late January. They they are going to open up with a scrimmage against Dynamo 2, which is going to be interesting. I hope they're definitely not going to stream this one, but I hope they do, so we can see, I get a good taste of how Dynamo 2 is going to look like, and from there they are going to go to Tucson to play in the annual preseason tournament they've been doing for a while now. And the only thing I'm not clear um, at this point is if they're gonna do La Copita again this preseason, like the little preseason tournament they did last year, because they haven't said anything about it. But I'm assuming they are, because they are playing Austin FC and FC Dallas in the last set of scrimmages, like towards the end of preseason, as well as Toronto FC, which I feel like it can definitely be La Copita. It's just they haven't announced it yet, but we'll see how it goes from here. I feel like in the that stretch of games, especially closing the Tucson preseason tournament, I feel like it's a pretty good showcase as to what we can see. Obviously, not everything in the offseason is gonna happen in the season, but it's gonna be interesting just looking at the players and how and the lineups that Apollo Nagamura rolls with, which I've been thinking about him most likely going to roll with a 4-3-3, which has been a lineup that he has been using a lot with SKC2. But we'll see how it goes. Even with a new set of players coming in, if he changes his mind, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think we all know that we shouldn't count preseason results for anything because we used to be always winning that freaking Tucson Cup in the preseason, and then we finished last anyways. And somebody like New England loses all three of their games and then wins MLS Cup or something. So I'm just more excited to actually, like you said, see what Paulo starts tinkering with. By no means is it going to be where he's going to go within the season, but it'll be interesting to see what formation, how he wants the guys to play, and then also just to see a lot of these new faces that we don't know yet. Because even though there's going to be a lot of faces that we do know, it will be interesting to see who starts becoming, Pablo's favorites in his good graces, and if he has any players that he just hopefully Darwin's rent he just wants to transfer out immediately. So Well, that's what I'm most excited for. Obviously preseason. What right now it's January 17th, already midway through January, and the MLS season starts. I believe like February 29th or 27th for us. Um, so that'll be. I mean, a little bit over a month left, but it's gonna go by so fast, and not that much time. Hopefully bring in. I guess we'll get into the part that everybody always been talking about. Obviously we have no updates, but from what Pat has said, there won't be like another huge DP signing this summer. If anything, it'll be, I think they're aiming to bring in like an impactful winger. So that could be either a domestic level starting winger or a like U22 type signing at winger. You would have to assume it could be domestic since we don't have that much international slots to move around with. Other than that, I think everybody absolutely wants to see a DP number 10, which is not going to happen this window. I would expect no movement on the number 10s, just to expect Darwin, Quintero, and probably Palomino to play in those roles early in the season. And then right back is is the one that we all want to see, a starting
Oh
right back
yeah.
come in.
Well, I have a
But
lot of thoughts with the right back position, but yeah. Um,
it's not. It doesn't sound like it's gonna happen. At least Pat said in one of his interviews with Glenn Davis that he, even though a lot of fans aren't happy with the players' performances from last year, paraphrasing, and we want like an overhaul. We don't want an overhaul. We just want a new right back, and I think that's not too much to ask for. So he was pretty much setting us up to not expect a new right back, but you never know if they find the right guy in the international market or internally in MLS. I would just love anybody else to come in and see a fresh face, even though I love Zarek, but don't love him starting after last season's performances.
oh yeah. If obviously starting with the potential designated player, obviously after Ferreira, I feel like there's a better chance of it happening maybe like towards the end of the season. In the summer, if they can make it happen this summer, that would be awesome. But I feel like they can still bring in someone impactful without a designated player slot. But it's we'll see how it goes because like obviously us one player can get like a green card and it can change a lot. We still have to see how the season rolls and like depending on how it goes, like it influences the decision of bringing it like a winger or a fullback or like a true playmaker that changes the game, which will be awesome. But yeah, just going back to the right back position, I feel like that's the position that needs to be addressed more because I said it a bunch of times last year, and I still say it that Sarek, I don't think he's a starter anymore. He's been beaten like several times this past season, and yeah, we're definitely gonna have to start looking for a starter at some point. And if not, obviously we can still rely on Ian Hoffman, but he's still fairly new to the position. But from the last few times I've seen him on the field, in that position, I feel like it could be like a pretty good substitute. If not for if Sarek's not available, at least Sarek, I feel like he could still like come off the bench, but not as a starter. I think.
And question kind of deviating from that. Where do you see Memo Rodriguez's best position this year? Because it's kind of a question that we've had a lot over the years. I don't think he has a place to start at all in this team. Obviously, after high expectations at the beginning of last year, he kind of plummeted. Just to be completely fair, um, obviously the team's performance did as well, but I think he's definitely a bench player at this point. I'm not counting him out. He could definitely have a bounce back year after having a pretty rough year, but regardless of whether he's starting or coming off the bench, where do you see his best position? And I'll tell you my opinion too afterwards.
Oh yeah, he's not a starter right now, especially with the midfield being crowded. And obviously you have like Intero and Carrasquillo over him, and even like Derek Jones, like which I feel like at this point, like they're definitely better options. But I think his best bet right now would be to just come off the bench and just change the game because I feel like that at the end of the day, that's gonna be what impacts the decision for him to like come back as a starter. Because I remember last year, like he killed it as a starter, but like for some reason he just fell off from there. and which is pretty sad to see because I always had a high hopes on him. I still do. It's just that as of right now, I don't see him as a starter. So, is that position like to say like you can like come off to replace Quintero? I feel like off the bench in the second half, which I feel like is like the best choice for him. So, and just either that because like I recall from last year, like just his game from like transitioning to towards the final third, which I feel like he does pretty well with the counters. It's just that for some reason he just fell off from there. Like maybe it could be like something with Tab or like something how he wanted to like apply his game plan, but yeah, like at this point he has to like prove it again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree with your take pretty much. He's not a starter. I think he's not a winger at all. I don't want to see him wide, even though he definitely has a hell of a shot. Um, he doesn't have he doesn't have the technical ability in this league to be a super impactful attacking player. But I think his best position is somewhere between the 8 and the 10. I do agree, kind of subbing off Darwin, but I do think going forward in his career, the number 8, because his defensive ability isn't terrible. It's still pretty decent, and his work rate is really good. So I don't want to see him, playing as a 6, sitting in front of the center backs. But I think, I think he's definitely has the best opportunity, at least for the Dynamo this season, is playing as a number 8. And if it's not that, not that hot of a take though. I know there has been for sure interest from other MLS teams. I think the other I guess it sounds harsh. The other purpose Memo could serve this season is probably being our best trade bait. If we did want to transfer within MLS for another player, I think that's probably the player that most other MLS teams would be interested in from our squad. Um, that could probably succeed very well at another team. Memo could just need a new leaf to turn, which we don't know if it's true, but there was some rumors that there was other teams looking around that he was looking to move, but not convinced him to stay. Don't know if that's 100% true, but if Memo doesn't pan out completely in the summer, we could see him gone in a trade for somebody else.
Yeah, and we touched on this a little bit in this episode, but obviously the striker position, Ferreira is gonna definitely start. And I guess like my only question from there is that who is gonna be the second string, because obviously Mateo Bahamic, he's coming in from last year, what obviously pretty dreadful run since he didn't get like a good opportunity to prove himself. But at the same time, you have to wonder if he even earned it, you know. But it's a thing. Obviously, it's still up in the air. Obviously, with Tab out, and obviously with like a different game plan coming in, I can definitely see him either Dynamo 2, or if he does very well in the preseason, maybe he can be the second string over Thor. and and it's just one of those things because obviously we have Thor coming in, which is like a pretty highly regarded striker against Mateo Bahamic, with both of them battling for the second spot. And I feel like from here it can be like a pretty tight race because like I still want to be hopeful with Mateo because I'm pretty optimistic about him still, but at this point he has to prove it because he's definitely got a lot of things going against him right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not making a depth chart yet, but I think we can work on that in another episode. It's a little early, but for me, I'm not giving Mateo anything. I'm not completely shoving him down, but I don't think if he's going to succeed in MLS, I don't think it's going to be as a winger. I think it will be as a number 9, which could very well work out this season with the Dynamo if we get the chance. But I'm not putting him at number 2 right away. I'm not even putting him anywhere, because I think there's a strong possibility we could see him being loaned out if the staff decides he's not MLS quality at all. But if he does get minutes with the Dynamo and he turns things around, I think it's going to be a striker. So for the sake of the club and for the sake of Mateo, I hope he definitely shows us that he was just being played in the wrong place and at the wrong time. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed from Dynamo Underground. Um, but yeah,
Straight from the underground.
I think we'll address most of the aspects with the roster, at least this early in right before preseason. Obviously, we'll get to answer more questions over the course of the preseason, and actually even if we even get to watch streams, if there are any, because I know for a fact I'm gonna watch all the streams, but the main issue is if they're gonna stream the games or not. Um, we're definitely gonna see all the Tucson games because those are the ones that are usually streamed. I'm more concerned about the other ones, but we'll see. Hopefully we get all the streams.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I guess even though we're already pessimistic, just as natural Dynamo fans, it's the most exciting time in the season when you have your hope not completely killed yet, and you're dreaming for something else. But I think as Dynamo fans, we're mostly keeping our expectations down. I'm still hoping for at least two more signings this offseason, which I think we'll definitely get in terms of depth pieces, little random signings to fill in the gaps. But I'm hoping for two impactful signings. I'm expecting one more. I would only say from what it sounds like we're only going to get one winger more, but I hope for two impactful signings. That's my take there. Later, pretty much just to cap off the episode before Andres says anything else, we hope to have on Roberto Rojas from the only English-speaking podcast covering Paraguayan soccer, Guarani Vision, in later this week or next week to talk about Seba Ferreira once he's announced and see what he can bring to the Dynamo, what his national team, Paraguayan national team aspirations are, and if that guy has a future in Europe, if he does well in MLS. So that'll be some really cool insight for somebody that actually knows him and knows the Paraguayan landscape inside and out. So we hope you guys are excited to tune in for that later in the week or next week.
Oh yeah, and yeah, we definitely need to get those kinds of people here because of like the uh, going back to the last episode when we chatted with Mike Kuhn from the Blue Testament about Paul Nagamura. Um, we should definitely get like more of those positions where like people know more about the player since they definitely give us like another perspective hopefully. But yeah, I guess like the last thing I can say is yeah, I'm expecting at least one more signing. It could be like a fullback. I feel like at this point, like just heading into the season, I feel like if adding one more fullback goes a long way. Only because with that piece, I guess we can just give like a reassurance for the back line because that's like I feel like at this point right now it's like the only piece that we're missing because like either as um obviously I'm asking a lot if it's like a right back that can play left, but um just getting that extra like or at least like a right back it goes a long way. As we discussed, like Sarek is no longer a starter, but yeah, I feel like that can definitely go a long way for me, especially like heading into the season at this point. And yeah, that's pretty much it for
Oh,
this.
and
Yeah.
one more thing that hopefully whether we address it in a press conference with Pat or with Paolo or somebody else, obviously it's always a time that homegrowns could be signed for this club, and homegrowns usually either right now or in the summer. But it'll be interesting. There's obviously going to be homegrowns training with the club during preseason. Obviously, one big name out there that was a freshman starter for one of the best teams in college soccer, Kieran Sargent, who's a freshman left back and center back for Georgetown Hoyas this year. That's an interesting name. There's also Jathan Juarez, who also can play left back, full back. Um, so this is some interesting names to see. Uh, Andre Guitao, who's playing for the US U17, so I've heard his name mentioned a lot as well. So fingers crossed. It'd be really cool if we. I think there will be at least some more of those quote unquote homegrown signings for Dynamo too. But it'll be interesting if we could see possibly one trickle into the first team if they impress that much.
Oh yeah, and that's the best part about Dynamo too. And obviously the pipeline that's being developed by Paul Holoker and company. Um, they're definitely gonna get more time. That's definitely the reason why I'm excited to watch them, assuming that we get the streams. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Obviously, we still got a long way to go to find out more answers through preseason and heading into like a very interesting season ahead of us. Yeah, guys, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Keep an eye out there for Dynamo Underground. If you guys see it, let us know. Tag us on Twitter if you see it, because we don't. I think we have an idea how it looks like, but we want to know the true answer though.
the idea that I have of what it looks like is Matt Jordan's basement, and I don't want to think about that place anymore.
No, but that's like the fake Dynamo Underground. It has to be the real Dynamo Underground. We'll have to find it.
I have no idea then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, guys. The thing, guys.
Promised land.
Yeah, stay noodle, yo.
See you guys. Stay noodle.